Everyone, it's Phil Frost from Main Street ROI, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar called the 5 Simple Steps to Profit with Google AdWords. I also want to thank the American Fence Association for organizing this webinar. It's noon Eastern Time, so I'm going to get started. We have some housekeeping. First, I see some folks have already found the questions box. It's a Q&A box. It should be in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, and you can type in any questions you have as we go through the webinar, and I'll address those as they come in. I also recommend you turn off distractions. You'll get the most out of this presentation if you're not also checking email and logging into Facebook, so I highly recommend turning those off. And before we dive in, I do want to see who's on today, so I have a couple quick polls here, and you should see a poll on your screen now that says, are you currently advertising with Google AdWords? And there's just 2 options there, yes or no. Pretty straightforward. I see some folks are answering that right now. I'll give it just a couple seconds more as people are logging on here. All right, so I'm going to close it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'll close it down. We've actually got 37% yes, they are advertising. 63% are not yet advertising. And then the next question here is, what's your current or anticipated monthly ad budget? Several options there: less than $1,000, $1,000 to $5,000, 5 to 10K. 10 to 50K, and then over 50K. And I see a lot of folks are answering here, so I'll just give it 5 more seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, close. Very interesting to see the range here. We've got about 43% less than 1,000. Another 43% are in the range of 1,000 to 5,000. And then 13% are in the range of 5 to 10K. And the last question, and then we will move on here. Just curious if you're managing those ads in-house or with an agency, or you are in fact an agency. All right, see some answers coming in. And I will close this down again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, that's about what I would expect. We've got 77% managing in-house, 23% with an agency. So good to understand who's on the line here. We'll try to cater the presentation to who's on. So here's what we're going to cover today: why AdWords works so well. But even though it does work well, why businesses unfortunately lose money with AdWords. Not every business, but a lot of businesses do tend to unnecessarily lose money. We'll talk about how to avoid that. We'll talk about the 5 steps to profitably advertise with Google AdWords, and then we'll have live Q&A at the end. Now, if this is your first training with Main Street ROI, you're probably wondering, who am I? Why should you even listen to me? Again, my name is Phil Frost. I'm the founder of Main Street ROI, and our business provides digital marketing services as well as training like this training today. And to date, we've helped over 2,000 businesses with their digital advertising and their SEO and email marketing, with their digital marketing. And my thought leadership in this industry has been featured in Forbes, Inc., Amex, as well as Mashable. I'm also the proud father of these cute kids. That is my daughter on the right. Her name is Violet. She is almost 4. She'll be 4 January 2nd. And that's my chubby son, Emmett, sitting on my beautiful wife's lap. That's my wife, Erin. And we live on the Upper West Side in Manhattan. I do want to double check. Yeah, it looks like I am sharing my screen. I had troubles with that before where it wasn't showing my screen, but looks like we're good. All right, so let's dive into why Google AdWords works so well? There's really three reasons. First of all, it's highly targeted, especially with Google search. People are going to Google search every day and searching for businesses, and they're literally searching for a business that they want to become a customer of. So they're looking for products and services. For example, they'll be typing in fence company. It's highly likely that someone's searching for a, let's say, fence company nearby, local fence company. That is a qualified prospect for your business. So it's highly targeted, fully measurable, and I said fully measurable sales funnel with an asterisk. That's because you do need to make sure you have conversion tracking installed and set up correctly. We'll talk more about that towards the end of this presentation. But if you have that all set up properly, you can measure the whole sales cycle from someone just seeing your ad, clicking on it, going to your website, calling you, or maybe they're completing a form, and then eventually becoming a customer. It's also less risky compared to a lot of other options, and that's because it's really pay as you go. There's no upfront fees with Google AdWords. You don't have to lay out thousands of dollars to buy media, like a big media buy, or if you're trying to buy advertising like on TV or radio, there's typically big upfront fees. But with Google AdWords, you pay as you go. You set the daily budget or the monthly budget, and you're only paying when someone is clicking on your ad. So if you're advertising on local fence company or fence company nearby, and nobody's clicking on your ad because it's not very good, compelling ad, then you actually don't pay any money. So it's less risky because you're really only paying when you have a compelling ad that prospects are clicking on. So that's why they call it pay-per-click. Now, with all that in mind, it tends to be a good investment for businesses because it is highly targeted. It's measurable, so you can measure your return on investment. However, a lot of businesses do lose money, and that's typically from a lack of planning, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. A lot of businesses just dive right into Google AdWords. I put some of the blame on Google just with the way they market their product. They make it seem very easy to advertise, and if you've done any type of advertising, you know it's not as easy as Google is making out to be. There is some planning involved, and you need to be set up properly for success. So you can't just dive in, click a few buttons, and start have a profitable campaign. The other reason businesses lose money is because they're just not targeting their ideal prospects. Again, some of the blame has to go to Google here because they try to get you to advertise on every keyword humanly possible that's somewhat closely related to your business. And generally, that's not the strategy you want to go after. But Google's trying to make the most money with their platform, so there's a little conflict of interest issue there, where they want you to advertise on any keyword that's closely related, where you really need to be focused on only the keywords that are going to drive your ideal prospects. Third mistake here would be not measuring your return on investment, not having the proper tracking in place to actually see, are you driving leads and sales? And fourth is not having a congruent message. And we'll get more to this later. We'll talk more about this later, when we get into ad copywriting and having a landing page that is congruent with the ads that you're displaying in the search results. All right, now let's dive into the 5 steps. The first step here, as you probably guessed from the first mistake, is going to have to do with planning. And you have to know your numbers. And more specifically, you need to know how much can you afford to pay per click to generate one new customer. Because again, you're going to pay per click on your ad. So that's really the key metric here. How much could you pay? Can you pay $1 for those clicks, $10, $50? How much can you really afford to pay for a click on the ad? That would then determine which keywords you can profitably advertise on and how much you can afford to bid. So to calculate that requires a little bit of work. You need to understand what is your profit per customer. So how much do you actually make as a business when you get a new fence client? What is your target ad profit margin? And what I mean by that is how much are you willing to give up in terms of a profit? So if you're profiting, let's just say it's $200 or $500 per new fence customer, then how much of that profit are you comfortable giving up and investing in advertising to generate that customer? Then you'll either need to estimate or over time figure out how many of your website visitors are going to turn into customers. And as a rule of thumb with e-commerce, typical conversion rates are in the neighborhood of 1% to 2%. You might have a much higher conversion rate if you're very, very targeted with your advertising. But regardless, you need to figure out how many visitors will actually turn into customers. If you have a phone call sales process and you're getting people to your website and then the goal is to have them call you to maybe schedule an appointment, you need to figure out how many of those phone calls are going to convert to sales, or maybe you already have that metric. And taking a step back, how many visitors does it take to actually get a phone call? So what's your phone call to visitor ratio? Now, here's an example of the numbers in action. Just pulling out some numbers here. As an example, let's just say you're going to make $1,250 profit per customer. And that's just based on the size of your customers and possibly upselling and repeat business. Let's say you are comfortable with a 25% profit margin on that with your advertising. Let's say the majority of your sales are coming through phone calls and 10% of your phone calls lead to sales. And let's say 5% of visitors actually pick up the phone and call you. Now, if you run the numbers here, your maximum cost per click would be $4.69. That means if you pay $4.69 and all these numbers hold true, that 5% of that traffic will call you, 10% of those phone calls will turn into sales, then you will hit that profit margin of 25%. Now, if you start to pay more than that, that will give you less of a profit margin. And if you can pay less per click, then you will be even more profitable when you drive those sales. So this is obviously a critical number to think through, and that tells you, again, how much you can afford to pay per click in Google AdWords. Now, when you're armed with that number, you can move on to choosing the right keywords, and that's step 2. And there are really 3 criteria that I would recommend you look for in a keyword. And the tool we're going to use is Google's Keyword Planner tool, and that's a free tool that Google provides to anyone that has a Google AdWords account. And it works like a thesaurus. You type in keywords that you think your prospects are searching, and then the tool will tell you how many times those keywords are searched, what their estimated cost per click will be, as well as how competitive those keywords are. And then it will also show you relevant keywords that you might not have thought of. And the criteria here are, first, that the keywords that you're looking for are actually searched in Google. Then second criteria is going to be that they are searched by your particular prospects. And by that, I mean that just because it's a relevant keyword to your industry doesn't mean that your prospect is actually searching for it. You could get into some nitty-gritty fence terminology, I'm sure, and that's probably not what your prospects are searching. So that would be an example, maybe certain types of fence supplies or techniques to install fences. Something that the typical person is not going to understand. Those are not really the keywords that are searched by your prospects. And the last criteria here is most important, and that's that the keyword is searched in order to make a purchase. And we call that buying intent. And just take a step back, there's really two types of keywords. There's research keywords and buying keywords. And a research keyword would be something like, do I need a fence around my pool? So that's someone who is probably getting a pool or already has a pool. They want to know the laws in their state, and do they need a certain type of fence, or does my fence need to be a certain height? That's more of a research type keyword versus a buying keyword where they're actually looking to hire a company or make a purchase. And that I gave some examples before, like fence company nearby or a local fence company. Clearly, there's more intent to make a purchase with that keyword versus someone just saying, how high does my fence need to be? So those are the three criteria, and I'll show you some keywords in action here using a chiropractor example. And this is specifically a chiropractor in San Francisco. And we've got two keywords here. The first one is back pain, which is searched, last time I checked, 74,000 times per month. And then we've got San Francisco chiropractor, which is searched only 260 times per month. And the last poll I will show today, actually it's not the last poll, second to last poll, I want to do a quick survey. Which keyword do you think is more likely to generate sales or new patients for a chiropractor? Either back pain, which is searched 74,000 times, or San Francisco chiropractor, searched 260 times. And I'm just going to close it out because looks like the majority of people got this correct. I won't reveal the answer, but about 66% got this correct. So let's take a look at what the correct answer is. So which keyword will drive sales? The first criteria, is it searched in Google? That's obvious. I gave you how many times they're both searched in Google, so they are in fact searched in Google. That's the first criteria. Second criteria, are they searched by your prospects? And that is yes for both of them as well. Clearly, someone searching back pain could likely be a prospect for a chiropractor, and someone searching San Francisco chiropractor could likely be a prospect for a chiropractor. Now, this third criteria, again, which I said is the most important, is are they searching in order to make a purchase, which we call buying intent. And really, back pain has no buying intent. When you think about it, and you think about all the different scenarios where someone would be searching just back pain, there's a lot of research intent there. There's so many people just searching generically, what kind of back pain do I have? Is it sciatica? Is it low back pain? Just all these different scenarios where they could be searching back pain but really have no intent to go to a chiropractor. Versus San Francisco chiropractor, really there's few other options other than they are searching to go make an appointment with a San Francisco chiropractor. So hopefully that makes it clear why you need to go through those three criteria. when you're selecting your keywords, and you want to focus on the keywords that meet all three of those criteria. So in this case, I'm not saying advertising on back pain would never work, but when you're launching a campaign, you want to set it up so that you have the best chance for success. And I would definitely not target back pain at the beginning of a campaign, because again, there's a good chance a lot of those folks searching that keyword are not really looking for a chiropractor. All right, step 3, we want to write compelling ads. So at this point, we've planned, we know what our max cost per click is, and we have a handful of targeted keywords that we know are targeting our ideal prospects. So now we want to write compelling ads to get them to click on our ads. Before we dive into what makes great ads, it's important to take a step back and realize why your ads are so critical specifically to a Google AdWords campaign. That's because Google actually gives you a discount if you write really good ads. And not only do you get a discount, you actually get better ad positioning when you have a higher click-through rate than your competitors. So it is all relative. Frequently asked question I get here is, what's a good click-through rate? If your competitors have 10% click-through rates, then unfortunately that is the bar at which you need to meet, versus another keyword where competitors might only have a 1% click-through rate. So it's all relative, keyword by keyword. You need to have better ads, more compelling ads to get a high click-through rate. And here's why, just so you understand the math. And once you understand this, it does make sense from Google's perspective why they do this, because here's two advertisers, A and B. And let's say advertiser A is paying $1 cost per click, that's CPC, and they are getting a 5% click-through rate, that's CTR. That means every time Google shows that ad, Google is making 5 cents. So they're making 5 cents per ad impression. Advertiser B is paying $3 cost per click, so $2 more than advertiser A, but they're only getting 1% click-through rate. And that means Google is making 3 cents every time they show advertiser B. So as you can see, it's in Google's best interest to prioritize advertiser A, even though advertiser A is bidding less. They're only bidding $1, let's say they're paying $1 per click, but they have really compelling ads. They have a 5% click-through rate, so Google's making 5 cents every time they show that ad. Versus advertiser B, they don't have really good ads, so they're only getting a 1% click-through rate. They have to pay even more money, $3 cost per click, and they're still not going to generate the same amount of money for Google. So Google's going to prioritize advertiser A, even though advertiser A is paying less. So advertiser A will get better ad positioning because Google wants to make the most money. They're going to put them at the #1 spot, even though they're paying much less. So that's how the money works. That's why Google is doing what they're doing. And if you think about it, it's win-win-win. As advertisers, we win if we write great ads. We get better ad placement. We actually pay less for that traffic. Google's winning, as you can see from the example there. They're making more money. And really the prospects and the customers win because the reason they're clicking on those ads is because those are the ads that are resonating with them. That's essentially what they want to see in the results. So Google's just prioritizing what people want to see, and they're getting what they want, so they win. All right, so now that you know why you need great ads, let's talk about what makes a great ad. First of all, you want to answer the question, what's in it for me? And that's what everybody is thinking when they do a search. So if somebody goes to Google, searches for a fence company nearby, that ad needs to answer the question, what's in it for me? And to answer that, you want to focus on the benefit that your company provides to the customer versus the features that you offer. So you might offer a lot of different types of fence supplies or a fence material. That's more of a feature. But at the end of the day, the benefit to the customer is that you have the options. So you have lots of options. You have material to fit all the different scenarios or circumstances, however you want to phrase that. But at the end of the day, that is the benefit of having that particular feature. You also want to have some kind of strong offer. That's typically where I see businesses making a mistake. They just don't have an offer at all. And when you do a search in Google and you look at all the different offers, you might have a company saying that they'll do X off all new customers. Let's say 10%, save 10% for new customers only. And then you have another ad that doesn't have an offer. Clearly, the people searching are going to gravitate towards the one that has a better offer. And again, it's all relative. If no one is making any type of offer, then it's easier for you to enter the advertising space and come up with a strong offer. But if you are in a market or an area where a lot of other fence companies are using super compelling offers, then you really need to step up your game to compete and have something even more compelling, more irresistible than what's already available. And then the third element here is some kind of call to action. So what is it that you want that person to do after they read your ad? Do you want them to go learn more? You want them to call you? So call, or maybe you want them to schedule an appointment. Whatever that next step is, you want to explicitly put that in the ad, at least test an ad that explicitly says what they want to do, because that typically leads to higher click-through rates. And here's another example of an ad for that San Francisco chiropractor who was a client of ours. So you can see here, SF Chiropractor, caring San Francisco chiropractor, get relief now. So the benefit there is to get relief. And this is the offer, schedule and save 50%. And the real offer is for new patients only. They can actually get 50% off their first visit. And that can work well if you know that getting your foot in the door that one time will lead to more business down the road. So I'm not saying you have to have some kind of discount. You certainly don't need to discount. You can compete with other benefits. You can compete with maybe a bonus that you add to your core offer. You can highlight maybe a guarantee. Maybe you guarantee something that the project will be completed on time. That would certainly be a strong guarantee for someone looking to install a fence and doesn't want to hire the wrong company that might drag it out for a really, really long time. Guaranteed, professional service, on-time delivery, and the guarantee that you're not going to make a big mess in this industry is certainly something that prospects are thinking about, and they are worried about having somebody come to their property and potentially make a mess and have it drag out for a long time. All right, step 4 is creating a high converting landing page. So the landing page, you might be wondering, what the heck is that? That's the page that people land on right after they click on an ad. And there's really one goal of this page. You want to get people who just clicked on an ad to take a particular action. That might be to call or complete a form. And this might be shocking, but the number one mistake that I see a lot of businesses doing is using their home page as the landing page. And this seems like it's a good idea. They want to drive traffic to the website, so they send people just to their homepage. But when you think about it, you are laser targeting with keywords, and then you're making a very compelling offer in your ad. It doesn't make sense to then send them to your homepage, which is more general and is not very specific to what they just searched. So rather than doing that, you want to have a very specific page. Let's just say the person searched for a pool fence company. So now you know they are specifically looking for someone to install a fence around the pool. It makes a lot more sense to then send those folks to a page that talks specifically about how you install fences around pools and explains all the benefits of working with you as it relates to fences around pools. That's going to have a much higher conversion rate than just sending that traffic to your homepage that talks about how you do fences around pools, you do fences around yards, and you might even do big commercial projects that are completely irrelevant to someone who just wants a fence around their pool. I mentioned this earlier, congruence is the key to success with Google AdWords. You need to have a congruent message from the keyword, and I say keyword intent, so let's say they have buying intent. Then you have an ad that's focused on that particular keyword and making an offer related to that keyword. And then you want to have that landing page matching the message that was just presented in the ad. You might have heard this called scent. That's another terminology that people use in this industry, that you want to maintain the same scent throughout the ad funnel. And by scent, if you think about it, you don't want the prospect to lose the scent, similar to a dog following the scent of when they're going hunting, for example. If they lose the scent, they would not actually get to where they want to go. And the same thing is true with advertising. If your prospect loses the scent, and by that I mean they search for something, they see an ad that's relevant, compelling, they click on it, and then let's just say they go to the home page, they've basically lost the scent. They're now off the trail, so to speak. So rather than that, you want to maintain that scent, keep them on the same path all the way through to when they have to call or complete a form. All right, here's a checklist that you can use for all of your landing pages. The first one is to have a strong headline, and that headline needs to match the message that was presented in the ad. So you want to have that congruent headline. You want to have relevant, benefit-focused copy. Again, using the pool fence example, if they just searched for a fence company to install a pool fence, then the copy on your landing page should be all about fences around pools. You should have images, maybe before and after images of pools with fences. That's how you make a relevant and benefit-focused landing page. Ideally, you can take this a step further and have social proof specific to that particular product or service. It doesn't have to be. It could be more general social proof and reviews and testimonials just about your business. That's totally fine. And you want to have what we call credibility indicators. That's because everyone online is skeptical. I know personally I am. When I do a Google search, I find a business that I've never heard of. I'm extremely skeptical, and I'm looking for clues to tell me, is this a legitimate business? And some of the clues that you can give prospects are groups and association logos. You can put those logos on your site to show that, hey, you are a business and you're a part of this group, you're a part of this association. Maybe you're certified. Put your certification logos and badges on your site. Whatever you can do, press mentions. So if you've been featured maybe in the local newspaper or more of a national media, certainly highlight that on the page. Because again, the whole goal here is to get the prospect to trust you and not have their walls up thinking that you would potentially rip them off. Ideally, you can offer some kind of risk reversal. I mentioned this earlier, having some kind of guarantee, because again, we're dealing with people doing research and searching online. They're going to be highly skeptical, and you'll get a better response and more conversions if you offer some kind of risk reversal or guarantee. And that could be a free, even just saying a free assessment, so that will get you onto the property to assess the situation. So it's a risk-free, no obligation assessment to ultimately give you a quote on your new fence. And then we mentioned this before, you obviously want to have a call to action, and that's just whatever that next step is, to call and or complete a form to schedule an appointment. Here's a landing page in action. This is a asphalt paving company, and this is to get a quote within 24 hours. And you can see the call to action is either a phone call here or complete this form. And we've got the benefits over here, why our customers love us, and some credibility indicators. We've got the member of BBB and this other association below it. Here's another one. I'll click on this. This is a fence company landing page. Let me just get it in the view here. You can see the headline: Connecticut's highest rated, most reviewed fence company. So benefit focused, or more of a highlighting the fact that they've done a lot of business and have a lot of reviews. So that's the focus of the headline here. Then we've got the call to action to get a free estimate with a big button, as well as the phone number in the upper right corner. We've got the types of fences, just to make sure we've got all the bases covered. And we've got some credibility here with all of these badges and logos, as well as examples of the work. And this really gets into the benefits. So why choose Hartford Fence Company? We've got a bunch of bullets here about what makes them so great. Another call to action. We've got testimonials here. And then below here we've got another call to action with a form. All right, step 5 is to set up conversion tracking. We mentioned this earlier. Conversion tracking is absolutely critical. It's another huge mistake I see businesses making. They'll dive right into advertising without first setting up conversion tracking. And unfortunately, you can't go back. Once you are advertising, driving clicks, and spending money, and if people either do turn into sales or don't, there's no way to go back and really figure that out unless you have conversion tracking set up from the start. It's absolutely critical to do this before you launch your campaigns. There's really 3 ways to track. You want to have Webform Tracking, phone call tracking, and what's called CRM Tracking, or customer relationship management. That's like, you might have heard of these tools like Salesforce. Our CRM is called Infusionsoft. You don't necessarily have to have a big software package to use CRM tracking. It could be as simple as an Excel file where you're just listing your prospects and customers. So that's all that is. So let's go into each one. The first one is web form tracking. You want to be tracking all of your web forms, like your contact us, a demo, or schedule an appointment. then you need to add the AdWords conversion code, or what's called a pixel, to the thank you pages of those forms. So on a schedule an appointment form, if you complete that form and click submit, you should get redirected to a thank you page that says, thanks for scheduling an appointment. We will review your information and be in touch shortly. On that page is where you add the conversion code. And then Google AdWords, once that's done, your AdWords account will start reporting on the cost per lead in your account. And that's really important to see within your AdWords account which keywords and ads are driving leads for your business. And those are folks who are actually going to your site, completing, let's say, the schedule an appointment form. That becomes a lead for your sales team. You want to be able to see which keywords are driving those leads and which keywords are just doing nothing for your business. And there's always going to be a handful of keywords that you're spending money on. They looked really good when you did the research, but for whatever reason, they're just not generating leads for your business. And you'll want to obviously pause those keywords. Next is phone call tracking. I recommend you use the built-in Google AdWords call conversion tracking, and that's you can see calls from the phone number listed in the ad. And in the ad, especially with mobile, this is great when people are searching on their mobile phones. There'll be a button for, it just says, call, and people can just click that button right in the ad and call your business. You'll be able to track those calls as well as calls from the phone number listed on your website. So people will search a keyword, they'll click on your ad, go to your website, and then they'll call the phone number listed on the website, and Google can then track how many phone calls are generated directly from the ads. This is actually fairly new. Just in the past 30 to 60 days here, there's something called AdWords Call Import, and you can, let's say someone calls your business, and you go on site, do an assessment, give a quote, and then that person turns into a customer. There's no way for Google AdWords to know that that turned into a customer because it happened offline. But if you have the caller's phone number, the date and time of that the original phone call, and the length of call, you can actually import that into Google AdWords and tell Google AdWords that call turned into a sale. And you can take it a step further and say how much that was worth. So maybe that was a $1,000 sale, a $5,000 sale. You can import all of your sales into Google AdWords, and then you can run reports to see which keywords and ads are driving phone calls that are leading to sales, and how much money are they actually generating for your business. And that's where you start getting into return on investment and running those numbers within your Google AdWords campaign. And the last tracking element here is the CRM tracking. Again, that's customer relationship management. You've probably heard of Salesforce. Another tool is ACT, and we use Infusionsoft. But Excel or even a Google spreadsheet would be just fine. It's just an area where you would track how many leads you have, put their name in there, and either say that they're a lead, or maybe they've turned into a proposal, or maybe now they are an actual client. You want to take this a step further and document the source of all of your leads. So obviously with Google AdWords, you would want to be tracking that it came from Google AdWords. You can do that using what's called offline import conversion in Google AdWords. This gets a little technical, and we can talk about this in the Q&A. But at the end of the day, all it means is you have an ID attached to all of your leads that come in from AdWords. And then once those turn into actual sales or customers for your business, you can, again, import those into Google AdWords to tell AdWords these conversions turned into sales, and attach the actual sales amount to all of those conversions. And again, that allows you to run that return on investment analysis within Google AdWords. So here's a recap of those 5 steps. We talked about knowing your numbers, so figuring out the cost per click that you can afford to pay, choosing the right keywords that have buying intent, writing compelling ads, setting up conversion tracking, and creating high converting landing pages. And those are actually out of order. I apologize for that. I do have a gift for everyone attending, and that is 2 step-by-step 90-minute training video courses. The first one here is how to set up a profitable Google AdWords campaign. That's sold on our site for $97. How to optimize Google AdWords campaigns. So that's how to manage and improve the performance of your campaigns. Again, that's sold on our site for $97. And a Google AdWords campaign audit, which we sell for $300. That's a total value of $494 that I'm actually going to give everyone for only $97. And the URL to claim this offer is mainstreetroi.com/AdWords. And that is great if you are looking for more information, looking for training, more do-it-yourselfer. If you're not interested in training, I do want to give you the option to have a free AdWords consultation. So I'll show, this is the last poll you will see. So the poll you should see on your screen is, do you want a free AdWords consultation? And you'll see yes, no, I'm not interested, and then maybe I'd like to talk to someone first. And obviously, if you answer yes or maybe, we will follow up with you to discuss next steps for completing the AdWords consultation and scheduling that. So let me close that out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And now we will get to Q&A, and you'll see the free gift is in the upper left corner. If you wanted that URL again, mainstreetroi.com/AdWords. And if you have questions, the Q&A box should be in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. I know Casey and Danny found it before we got started. I don't see any other questions coming in, and we do have plenty of time here. If we don't get any questions, I will close it out soon, and this reminder in the upper right-hand corner is really just for me to remind everyone to please complete the brief survey after the webinar. So when I close this out, you'll automatically get redirected to a 5-question survey. It's really simple, quick to fill that out. It's just to get feedback on our training today, as well as get ideas for future webinars. And that's really the most important question there, is just topics for future webinars. Okay, I do see some questions coming here. Danny said, how important are negative keywords? So those are critical, and it does depend on, this gets more technical. It gets into what's called match type of your keywords. There's basically three match types. There's exact match, where you're telling Google, I only want to show my ads when this exact keyword is searched. There's phrase match, where you're telling Google, I want to show my ads when someone searches a keyword where the phrase is in that keyword. So let's say you're advertising on fence company. That is the phrase, and you're using phrase match. Your ads would show when someone searched fence company nearby, as well as local fence company, because fence company as a phrase is in those keywords. And then there's something called broad match keywords, which I don't recommend you use. That tells Google, show my ads anytime you think the keyword being searched is relevant to this keyword. And you could get into people, let's say, looking for a job at a fence company. And that's obviously not a prospect searching, but it's relevant because it's somebody searching for jobs with a fence company, local fence company jobs, for example, could be the search phrase, and Google will match that because it's relevant. But you can block that from happening by using negative keywords, and a negative keyword on jobs would tell Google, I never want my ads to show when someone includes the word jobs in the search term. Anthony said you mentioned a Google tool to find keywords online and find the CPC. Yes, it's called the Google Keyword Planner tool. And if you go to google.com and search for Google Keyword Planner tool, it'll be the first result. And Sue said, what is the name of the Google product used to test the words? I think you're referring to what Anthony just asked, which is not necessarily to test the keywords, but it will tell you how many times the keyword is searched, and it will tell you the estimated cost per click, or CPC, and it also tells you how competitive that keyword is, and it's just a relative scale. It's saying low competition, medium, or high competition. So don't get too caught up in that. I would more focus on the intent of the keyword, like we talked about earlier. So does that keyword have intent to hire your company? And look at the estimated cost per click to just make sure that it's in the ballpark for what you can afford to pay. Steve just said AdWords Express ? And that is a loaded question. Basically, I do not recommend AdWords Express. That goes back to my, I mentioned that Google, there's a conflict of interest. They try to make it really easy for advertisers to get started with Google and really tell businesses, hey, it is super easy. That's why they created Google AdWords Express. The reality is advertising is not as easy as they're trying to make it out to be. And it does require the steps that I went through. It does require closely monitoring the accounts. AdWords Express is really, it's a watered down version of AdWords. And because of that, there's a lot of limitations in how you can target your prospects and how you can manage the campaign. And because of those limitations, I do not recommend it. On one hand, yes, it's easier to use, but on the other hand, because it's easier to use, there's so many limitations that that cause it to be not as effective, not really worth it for businesses to use. Let's see here. Danny said also, what about Google Analytics to follow what the ad is doing? Okay, so we talked today about Google AdWords, and we talked about Google AdWords conversion tracking, and you can track pretty much everything you need to track in Google AdWords itself. When you get into Google Analytics is a web analytics tool that you would put on your website, and it tracks all of your different marketing. So all of the different channels you might be using: SEO, email marketing, social media. You can even track offline marketing, TV, radio, print, and track that traffic to your site through Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is a separate tool. It tracks all of your traffic, including Google AdWords traffic. And where it can be helpful is it will tell you what people are doing after the click. So for a fence company, they're probably searching for a fence company. They're clicking on an ad, going to a page that explains what you do, maybe explains specifically what they were searching for. I mentioned like a pool fence, and has a call to action on that page. It's most likely the case where people are going to come to that page, read it, take action, and not need to really dive deep into your website. But for other types of businesses where it's a little bit more complicated, for one of our clients is in the business planning industry. That's a much more complex sale. A lot more to explain in terms of what it is that you do versus somebody looking to buy a fence. It's a little bit more straightforward. So I would expect most people clicking on ads, going to the page, and converting versus diving into other areas of your website. But if you wanted to see what people are doing on your website, you would use Google Analytics, and that would show you what are the different pages that people are going to after clicking on an ad. So it can certainly be helpful. It can be eye-opening to see that people are clicking on ads and then navigating to a lot of different random pages. And what that can tell you is, maybe you have a usability issue on your site. You need to make your call to action clearer and maybe eliminate some other options so that people are not getting distracted. All right, let me just check the time here. We've got about 3 more minutes. I do see people have found the Q&A box, which is good. Danny had a follow-up question. One final question. Can you have too many keywords per campaign? The technical question, I forget what the limit is. There is a limit in Google AdWords. It's a huge, huge limit. So don't worry about that. More importantly, that's really the wrong question to ask. It's a good question, but rather than getting into how many keywords do you want in a campaign or even in an ad group, you want to focus in on organizing your keywords by similar phrases. And what do I mean by that? Let's say you do your keyword research and you find people searching for pool fences, and other people are searching for backyard fences. Other people are searching for wooden fences. And there's going to be other similar keywords that include wooden or include backyard. You'll want to group those all together. Make sure those are in separate, what are called ad groups, and that will allow you to write ads that are focused on that particular keyword phrase. So if the person is searching for a pool fence or some variation of that, your ad would then be able to include pool fence in maybe the headline. And you can take that a step further and have a landing page that's specific to that ad and those keywords. All right. Anthony said, have you found better advertising results with pictures and text versus advertising with only text? With Google AdWords search, you're only going to have text ads. When you get into using banner ads and pictures, that would be display advertising. You might be referring to the landing page and having text versus images, and that's really industry by industry. Images typically help, and videos can help, and with fence companies, images are definitely going to help as long as they are, they look nice and professional. That's going to, basically be social proof and examples of what that prospect can expect to see. So if you have really nice looking, a really beautiful pool with a nice fence that you installed, and just making sure that looks professional when you take that picture, which is not hard to do even with a mobile phone camera. So just get a nice looking picture. That's going to be great. I would highly recommend for all of your projects that you do before and after pictures, make sure those are nice, high-quality images and have those on your site. All right, it is now 1 p.m. I do need to close it down. I actually have a call I have to jump onto. But if you do have additional questions, just shoot those over to info@mainstreetroi.com. I'm happy to answer follow-up questions. And again, please do complete the brief survey at the end. All right, everyone. Thanks for attending. Have a great day.